So the SheSpeaks project is a funded project with the WA Western Australia Government, particularly the Department of Communities. And we're talking self-care and women, or those who identify as female. The project itself, we're really focusing on delivering of workshops. We're producing a podcast.
I think there's a lot of assumptions around how women can live successful lives.
I think it's a very elusive concept. To actually have generally to find meaning or purpose.
I think there are more pressure on women to be nice, to be kind, to be beautiful.
To build the confidence in our community that self-care isn't selfish, isn't commercialised, and there's a way that we can talk about it in a way that is helpful, is underpinned by that self-awareness, self-compassion, self-love, shifts the rhetoric to something that is relational. So we care for ourselves in order to care for others, no matter what that caring hat is or hats. For so many people, and we're really thinking through building a wellbeing literacy, so how we build capability and capacity to talk about wellbeing for ourselves and for others.
Because to me, self-care is just light a candle and stuff. And it can be that, but it's more, you know what I mean?
And so if habits are a kind of key dimension of this and that's a struggle for me, then how do I hack that? And how do I make that work?
Our research is an action research project. We're not just interested in getting information from our participants and understanding how they deal with self-care, but we're very much engaged in creating a space for them to develop actions.
The workshops generate such discussion, the way we've structured them, very participatory.
We have to create a space first where we can come together, feel safe to share, and even feel safe to open up to think about self-care and what it means to us.
We've designed the workshop so that there are different kinds of activities, so literally pair work, literally some group work, and actually some physical work in the sense of them moving around. So that gives women an opportunity to share and to think and discuss things. But realistically, it's about connecting the women to their community around them and actually saying that most of the expertise actually lies in your connection to those communities.
The only thing I'm concerning is the time. We always have the limited time to care for ourselves. And I think a lot of the women here are facing that problem.
When we start to go, well, how do we put this all together? What does this really mean? Yeah, this is interesting. This is where the 5 dimensions of self-care come into place. So the 5 dimensions are empowerment, which is choice and agency and how we make decisions for ourselves, even if we think we might not. What might that look like? Self-compassion, so how do we treat ourselves like a friend? Mindful awareness, so being present and tuning into what we need right now, knowing every moment changes, and also we can reset multiple times a day. We have time, so taking on all the different variables of time. How do we actually make time for ourselves and self-care, and what might that look like? And we've been doing a lot of work with this project on micro moments, so those 30-second to 5-minute moments. And then we're talking about habits, so those choices, decisions that we make when we repeat them regularly and often, they become a ritual or a routine that then becomes an embedded part of our self-care.
And often it's easier to create a habit if you are meeting with somebody to go to that habit. So because then each of you can make it accountable. That's how I formed a habit for myself, was that I put somebody else in to make me more accountable.
Yeah, a nice observation. And that's a part of being a cue. Like I do this habit with somebody else, that's the cue when I see them at this moment in time and we've scheduled.
And it's part of that social connection and that whole
relationality of the self-care.
The area of interest and research that I've worked on for most of my career is really about resilience and how that links to well-being. And that is about how we can adapt to circumstances and our competence around that adaptation. SheSpeaks is amazing because it's the opportunity to be involved with Verena and Narelle, who are very different in discipline background and the way in which they carry out research. And so it gives me an opportunity to really look at resilience in a different way.
We've been discussing sitting with your feelings is actually actual resilience that we don't like to do because it's hard, but yeah, that's a form of resilience that isn't really necessarily understood to be.
Probably the most amazing thing is to hearing women's voices and kind of lifting those voices so that you can hear the things that women have to think about, the things that they have to go through, and the things that can assist them in working through anything that comes along in their lives.
I want to try to talk to myself, such as how I talk to my friends. I just want to practice that more.
Recognize when you're actually gone above and beyond and performed above and beyond, like actually recognize it and be proud of it and reward myself for it.
And also the opportunity to talk to the different groups of women that we have spoken to. It's just been an amazing experience, and it's so lovely to see all forms and all types of women. Big pieces of butcher's paper, beautiful coloured pens, and the women can respond to specific statements that really provides the opportunity for each person or participant in the workshop to provide some strategies or a thought around specific resilience statements. What that does is it creates a part of the toolkit that we talk about that we can provide back to the participants.
Kind of collective idea around resilience rather than an individual discourse around resilience.
Women just put so much pressure on themselves and they expect to do everything all the time perfectly, you know?
My research focuses on communication and social change, and in particular creative research. And so we run an activity that is a collective poem. And it's really an activity to demonstrate to participants that each of us has a voice, each of us can make a contribution. There can be a safe contribution because in the actual poem activity, no one knows who contributes what. So it's a safe space to do so. But collectively, we bring our voices together to co-create a poem that then becomes an advocacy piece for what we are wanting to share, the emotions that we feel when we feel challenged, when we're making changes, but also when we're celebrating our own self-care. Usually at the end of the workshop, I will read the poem to the participants.
Ironically, change is the only constant in our lives. Aspirations for a more self-compassionate world, refreshing, seeing the world with a different perspective. Glorious sunrise on a new day, lifting the feeling of it being impossible, that is exciting. I'm zippy and zappy, happy and dynamic as my sun rises and shines.
So the podcast is an incredible way to hear the stories of other women.
You know, we've all seen the ads, right? Go to work, wear the pearl necklace, drop off everyone to school, have an amazing day at work, blah, 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 pick up the kids, off to soccer practice and ballet, la, 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 and then have dinner on the table by 6 o'clock and your lipstick on, ready for your partner to come home. Like, insert Prozac ad. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's just not reality. But that's what we're fed.
The reason we've chosen a podcast is because WA is so diverse, and that's something that we wanted, a medium that allows that intimacy of storytelling from hearing each other's voice, because they have a story to share and are open to that ripple effect of sharing the story and helping someone else, because we never know who's going to listen, when they're going to listen, and what's right for somebody else on their journey.
I would like people to consider the community
that they would like to live in. For you, for your children, for your family, for your friends, and build it.
We're starting a movement, and we have workshops and podcasts, and content will develop and ideas will develop, and we're empowering each other. And I'm excited to see what might happen with that. And so women are feeling empowered to help each other as well, and to rethink that self-care is so worthy of our attention.
I'm not alone. There are many women like me, and when I come to these events and I share with other people, I don't think that it's a huge thing in my mind, and I can learn new skills and take care of myself in a better way.
I loved it. I have like a new perspective of it. And then I realized how hard I am on myself. I don't talk that way to myself when I'm going through a hard time. So I think it's good to be like, I should talk better to myself and give myself credit.